So we're ready to go.
Okay. Basically, for the last week, I've been trying to beat the hell out of getting a court document ready to go to the International Court of Trade, because that's where we have to go. We were approaching this about 3-4 years ago, whatever, when we were trying to do a green jacket filing in through the district court system. The green jacket filing was a $39 filing initially when we started, and then they raised it up to 44 or something. I forget what it is now. Anyway, that green jacket filing was supposed to be processed out to the United States Court of International Trade. But we had to address it, that's where it was supposed to be filed into. It was a miscellaneous filing at the local level, but it was to go out to that international, the Court of International Trade. Okay, they are the old customs collection agents that were set up under Article 1, Section 8 in the Constitution. Okay, and then later on in 1890, they set up a 9-member panel within the Department of the Treasury that you would have to go in and put your request into that 9-member panel, and they would have a tribunal ruling on it. Okay? Prior to that, it was normally that it was passed as a private law. Your 2 state senators and the president pro tem of the Senate would vote on a private law, and then they would send that over to the Secretary of the Treasury to have funds withdrawn from we the people's American Treasury if you needed them. Or you would, if you had a debt or anything, you could go and petition directly to the Secretary of the Treasury. Now, that's the way it used to be before they started all this other garbage. In 1926, they took that 9-member panel out of D.C. and moved it up to the Custom House in New York and assigned them to be the United States Custom Court. Okay? All the way up to 1980, okay, when Jimmy Carter basically signed the changing of that over to the United States Court of International Trade, and they gave them additional enforcement powers by making them an Article 3 court, having powers as an Article 3 court also. So now they had further enforcement within the jurisdiction of the United States also. Like I said, this is the court that we need to go to now. Okay? This is where we have to take it in. And we basically were born or naturalized in this country. And then after a certain period of time, you were given a right to an inherent bailment from the Treasury. So basically, the United States of America granted you, was the grantor, and they were the original number one bailer to give a bailment to us, an inherent bailment, okay, which the bailment is an unalienable right of access to the National Treasury. Okay, it's an entrusted bailment to you, the lawful grantee. And then we are also the legal and equitable title number 1 bailee for life until our death. Now, several of us have gone out there and got this EIN number, which is a foreign grantor trust number. Foreign means it is not to be utilized with the public IRS. Grantor means that it came from the United States of America. Trust means the entrustment of the bailment right of access to the National Treasury. Therefore, you have foreign grantor trust. That's what that's all about. Now, since we have the bailment, or we're supposed to have the bailment upon either our birth or after a certain period of naturalization, then you are the bailor, because you're now holding the bailment. And you have bailed it over to, like we bailed it over by being birthed here, we bailed it over to our fictional person, okay, not the USA fictional person, but over to our legal fictionary person, okay, under a last name. He was to hold it for us until we came of age as a voter for the nation, 21 years. Okay, it's still sitting there, okay, but we've had something else come into play in here, a conspiracy against both us and the nation. And that was set up by the state of issued certificate of live birth, which is a counterfeiting birthing certificate. And it was initiated to set up a dummy fall person, or a corporate fall dummy person, a fall guy, to where basically if the fall guy is protecting the corporations, so it's an intermediary person also. This fall guy is a resident locator. He has a residency, and he's located under a number, just like the House of Representatives and the senators. They all have to give up being an inhabitant when they take the elected office, public elected office. They now become a resident, and they have a seat in the House or the Senate that they are going to reside in. And they have to go in there and locate that seat. Number 1, number 2, whatever, okay? Now, if they come in and they're sitting in the wrong seat in that Senate or that House of Representatives, they are not recognized. They have to be in their right location. Mm-hmm. Okay? So we have a resident, our dummy person for the corporate state has a resident location also within the USA Department of the Treasury. Now, with this counterfeit certificate of live birth under the same name as our legal fictionary, they were able to gain access and pull our bailment the right to the bailment, but they can't touch it, but they can place liens on it. So they're liening that bailment, okay, over there, and then basically they have control over all of our private bailments by different items. And I listed most all of those on a list there to show you how the state of has foreign right of access per contracts or pledges. They have, and they benefit it's for their benefit, okay? The wording's a little off there. But state of, certificate of live birth, Social Security, voter registration, driver's license, marriage license, military service, contract, selective service, certificate of title to on property, your vehicle, your house, whatever, and then state of death certificate. They use all of these to basically place liens against our assets. Then you have the church, foreign right of access per contracts and pledges. And they benefit while you are misguided and controlled by a baptism, confirmation, marriage, special orders, and death. Now, this dummy person that was set up, he is still under our jurisdictional control. Okay? But he became a bailer number 3 in the process. Because now he is controlling all of our private bailments and also the accessing, putting a stoppage to the accessing of our Treasury account, but allowing them to, the bailees, the foreign corporate bailees for hire, to place liens upon our bailment that is associated with we the people Treasury. He is a traitor to both we, the individual, and the United States of America as the nation. Now, a traitor has to have 2 witnesses to bring charges against him. We have 2. We, the individual, and the nation. By 2, you are known. You are known as the individual and as the nation, because you are part of the nation. That is the 2. By 2, you are known. Now, since we have 3 sets of bailors and bailees, we have 3 crosses on Mount Calvary. We have the first one from the land to us. We have the one on the right, which was the good thief, okay? And then we have the one on the left, which is the bad thief. And that's the one that we have to terminate. We will not see him in heaven. But basically, like Jesus said to the good thief, I will see you in heaven. And basically, when we terminate the one, this will bring the bailment back to our lawful bailee, and then we can directly have a better access to the we the people Treasury, and to control all of our assets privately, protected from them. Now, the solution to break the bondage is, number one, your rogue person, your traitor. He is to be arrested for contracts of treason. All bailments are to be retrieved and restored to the master bailor, and then he is to be executed as a final termination. We cannot go after the corporations. We can only go after our fictional person. Okay? The foreign state of and the church, they are operating under foreign corporate protections. The only recourse we have against them is that out of this court, they are to relinquish all bailments back to us, as we are the lawful owner and the number 2 bailor in the system. And basically, since they no longer can process through the number 3 bailee or bailor, because he's been executed, all things have to come back to the lawful owner. Okay? So they have to relinquish all bailments. Then they are to be banished from causing any further harm to the master bailor for his natural life. Or they are to be charged with contempt of this court ruling and arrested without bondage to await final prosecution, because their bonds of protection are forfeited to the court and the master bailor number 2. Now, this is not the corporation themselves. This is the individuals that are employees of the corporation. Okay? Because this order would be going out to all of those employees, hands off of these individuals. We need to file this in, like I said, to this International Court of Trade. But anything that you have out here, okay, this is where you should have been filing it in. Your mortgage, whatever, bring it in there, okay? This International Court of Trade basically is acting as an assessor to assess the situation and levy any customs and service charges that are required. You need to start looking these words up. Okay? This is right out of the movie Merchant of Venice. Petra, or whatever her name was, basically was the U.S. Court of International Trade. The assessor. An assessor is a man of law or a lawyer who acts as an intermediary for the military or the enforcement courts. Because these courts do not know the laws. Okay? They only know how to hand out punishment. They don't know the laws. And basically, we all know that, and they don't know how to be able to determine right from wrong. And see, that's basically what that whole movie was about. So this stuff is older than dirt. And you come in, and we're coming in with our free will to bring this about. we're coming in, and the United States of America is coming into this court action also. And they are right there in the court with us, underfoot. They are giving us their full support. Okay? So we have to, and basically when I was doing the crucifixions, basically that fits right in here too, because to crucify something, okay, you are executing it, terminating it, putting a big red cross on it. That's what a crucifixion is. When you put a red cross on a document, you are crucifying that document. But the problem was, most all the stuff that I have done in the past was going to the wrong place, the wrong door. And we didn't quite see the right door we were wanting to get to. Now we do. And it's all about bailment. It's not about trust. There is no trust. In God we trust. Okay? And God here is G-O-D. Grounds of dominion. Your nation. Okay? That's where you came from. Okay? And that's where you will return to. So that's your grounds of dominion. I don't know where the religious people ever came up with this other idea, but it's all by deception to get you off track of knowing and understanding anything. Okay, Tonka, basically you're going to have to go to probably an Oxford Universal Dictionary to find that word. It's not in the law dictionary. It's been hidden away and removed out of there because they did not want to run conflict with the deception that the religious leaders have been putting out. That was a response to one of the guys on the Skype group.
Right, on the Skype call group.
I've got a couple new documents that I'll be posting up here very shortly, not today, and maybe not tomorrow. Okay? I'm hoping to have my damn package out tomorrow morning. Overnight express mail out to New York. When you do this, you need to send them out in green jackets because that signifies that it's coming in from you, the master. Okay, it's a master filing. Okay, because what do you get when you go to the head golfer or the winning golfer down at Augusta, Georgia? What does he get? He gets a green jacket. He is the master of golf for the year. That's the title that he can claim. He's the master golfer for the year. There's a lot of other items out there that basically correlate to that green as being the color of the master. If you look around, you'll see some of these telltale signs either in movies or different places. You have the right of free choice. You can either do this the right way or you can do it the wrong way and stay in the system. but there is only one way that you can get out of the system. None of these other gurus, and basically, if they use this, they owe me $5,000 for basically plagiarizing my documents. I haven't got them copyrighted or anything like that. But if they try and make a profit off of it, basically, I hope they rot in hell. I tried to give this stuff out freely. It's taken a lot of work and time and understanding to try and get to this point. But you guys, if you're going to use it, you had better understand it, because you can mark my word, when you start down this road and you get this into that court, they are going to come and talk to you and make sure you really know what you're going to be doing. And like I said, at the bottom of that document, okay, now support your neighbors and defend the nation as a free man. If you're not willing to, when you get done with this, to support your fellow mankind and to continue to defend the nation as best you can, don't do this, because you will rot in hell too. The nation will make sure that you do not come back out of the ground for a long damn time. Now, like I said, I've got several other documents there that is what we need to go. We've been going against the wrong person. And see, they owe the usage of the bailment back to our fictional person. But they have made it so complicated in the process and so confusing that basically you don't know whether you're coming or going by using their forms. And in a lot of cases, by their trickery, you're getting in and you're claiming something that is totally wrong. You don't owe any taxes as the living, but your fictional person may, but he only owes them after he's been paid. And basically, we have never seen the paycheck, but yet supposedly it's being deposited into the Treasury under his resident location account.
So we've been paid, we just haven't collected it.
We have not been paid, okay?
Oh, okay.
Our fictional person may have been paid, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah.
And in a lot of cases, like on a traffic ticket, basically you're giving a bail appearance bond on that ticket. But it's not your appearance bond, it's for your fictional person. Now, if you don't come in as the bailee number 2 over your dummy resident bailer number 3 in the right capacity, they're not going to give it to you. They're not going to process it through him out to you. That's the payment that basically I told the Attorney General. I said, I will be glad to pay you when you pay me. No, it was my fictional person that was supposed to be paying me. My counterfeit, dummy, resident locator person, Baylor number 3, who was also filling in as Baylor number 2.
Bailey number 2, right?
Bailey number 2.
Right.
And see, the usage of the bailment, this bailment was for our benefit. It was not for anybody else's benefit. So basically, this bailment has been illegally used. That's why we, as Baylor number 2, can basically come in and order a termination, because it's been an act of treason against us. And also a breach of the bailment. But see, we can only retrieve this, what we were supposed to get at the age of 21, by doing the crucifixion of this foreign dummy resident who's acting as a fall guy for the corporations. He's going to fall down. He's not going to get up. We'll stand him in front of a firing squad until he drops. Okay. Go ahead and open it up for questions.
Okay. That is very interesting to have this Bailey number 2, as a person to focus on and to arrest. We've got to get that into our heads. In this, do mortgages fit into this same list with the driver's license and voter registration?
Every contract over there that you have with the corporation is a Bailey number 3
Okay.
to Baylor number 3 to Bailey number to the Baileys. Okay.
Okay.
Baylor number 3 to Baylor or Baileys number 3. Okay. It's a bailment contract. It's not a trust contract. It's bailment. Victoria Joy had this right in some of what she was looking at, but she didn't understand that there was 3 sets of Baylor Baileys out here.
Now, we've been trying to get remedy by sending stuff to the Secretary of the State and the Attorney General.
And they're not going to hear us.
Right. So the only way we can do this is through the International Trade Court to get rid of the Baileys, correct?
We have to get rid of our fictional person. We have to terminate him, execute him.
Okay.
And that's the only way that we can get, when we cut off the Baylor number 3, when we execute him now, then all the stuff that basically, the bailments that the Baileys number 3 are holding, this court will order them to give them back to the lawful owner.
Okay.
And we, as Baylor number 2, the master Baylor, okay, we are the lawful and the legal and equitable title holder and owner of that
And Bailey number 3, that's where all our contracts are in that.
Yeah, with the state
Mm-hmm.
of or with the bank or whoever, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All of these outfits, and they're the ones that have benefited from all this, and they kept this hidden from us by depriving us from our access, direct access to have those bailments, the payments for those bailments for hire, the hiring, come back to us. And see, that's some of the universal laws that we're operating under is the laws of hire per customs and services. See, the Bible is called the higher law, okay? Within it calls about higher law. But the religious groups out here have put the word H-I-G-H-E-R in there. Wrong, higher. It's H-I-R-E. It's a book of basically labor contracts.
Now, when
it's a law book.
When we write up our documents, do we need to spell out how they did this, or do we just need to put them the contract?
You might want to just wait until you see the package that all set up. Okay.
Okay,
All
good,
right.
good. Well, you've really been working on that. You said you rewrote it several times.
Yeah, it's like I told you before. The Bible's called the Holy Book. Well, they have it W-H-O-L-E. No, they have it H-O-L-E, okay? It's really W-H-O-L-E because it's full of holes. One way or the other, whichever one it is, I can't remember. But anyway, they've got it. See, it's the religious leaders that basically have come in and polluted and hidden that away because they're the law merchants. They're the deceivers, just like the banksters are the deceivers of money.
Mm-hmm.
The churches and everything are the deceivers of the truth of law. No fat little pompous person can sit over there in Rome and claim that he's the almighty pompous ass of the whole damn world. Total ludicrousy. But how many people believe that little fat shit or whoever it is, conniving, bastardizing, womanizing, child molester, philanthropist, whatever, is the head religious guy here in the damn country. And my mom can't even take the fucking truth either. I can talk about that fucking Pope anytime I want to. Yeah, rat slinger. Basically, he's already been convicted of shit. See, that's what you get. Your family basically thinks that they know everything, and basically that's going to be your worst enemy in 99% of this case.
Yep. Okay, it's H-O-L-Y is the religious connotation, and H-O-L-E-Y is having holes or full of holes.
Okay, any other questions on what the hell I've just covered?
No.
Yeah, I just sent you a text while you were talking on Skype, but pretty much before we can be successful with any of the 1099 processes, this whole case through the International Trade Court needs to be successfully completed, correct?
Anytime you have any problem with these guys, you take it to this court. This is the only court of remedy you're going to have. It doesn't cost you anything to file a court case in here. The $39 filing fee at the district court was you were giving it to the district court clerk. She was going to have to turn around and make copies and send it out to this Court of International Trade. That is the only filing fee. It's a processing fee. It's not really a filing fee.
So then, are we going through the district court to submit this case,
or would it be direct? You can do it either way. You can either go through the district court or go directly. File it certified mail. File it registered mail. File it express mail out to this International Court of Trade. Hand deliver it.
Can we fax it?
Whatever. But it don't cost you. There's no filing fee. Who are they going to charge, especially when you're coming in there with the United States of America as a co-plaintiff? Every action you're doing, you have, as you are a protege of the United States of America, and basically they are standing in any court action there with you. You come in with them on your side because they're there to support you. Or he is, or she is, whatever you want to say. The corporations are a mask. They do not give any support whatsoever. They're a fraud. They're a ghost. They're a spirit.
Well, it
it's
sounds
hard
like this
for
is
people to hear the truth, okay? And so many of these other gurus out here basically are not going to want to pay any attention to it because they think that they've got it all because of all the time and effort, but they were looking at the wrong places. They need to get off the wrong path.
Well, our being successful will encourage that, I think.
Yeah, I was saying.
Okay, any other questions out there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear.
Yeah, it sounds like this is pretty much going to be the final resource for having these things accomplished. And so my question to you is, because I do foresee this as actually being successful, what would you recommend that everyone here in the group focus on studying so that when we do get that visit, we're not, dumbfounded by how to communicate with these people?
You don't need to communicate back to this group after you come out, okay? You can basically let them know, I'm out. Now you go out and help everybody else. See, when you come out, you're going to have to go stealth. Like I said, your family and everything else will be, in a lot of cases, your own worst enemy. They will be trying to get you back into the system because they do not want to believe that you might be right and they're wrong. You can have a joyous life with everybody else's companionship. And you will probably find a better companionship out there in the long run. You will probably enjoy life 100% more. Not that you need to go out and have all the pleasures that basically all these corporate citizens have to have, thinking that they have to have all these possessions. Because you will really be wanting for nothing. So it's a totally different outlook on life. Okay?
Yeah. Now, for my family, I think they will pick up on it once I can show them how it works. My son is ready for it, but he's not willing to actually, at this point, do the study necessary. But he understands the principle and doesn't argue with it.
Yeah, and basically when we come out of this system, okay, and we terminate all this, we're not going to need to do any 99 processes.
Right.
Okay, that was for Corey.
Thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome. See, if we've killed off the Social Security person, and we've already basically got a death certificate on him if you have an estate EIN, so when we submit that in, that we have him under an estate EIN, we've already killed him. Now it's up to this court to basically have the bailments brought back and given over to us.
And they'll provide the documents we need and so on and so forth?
No, the court will take care of it.
Right.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Okay.
They have the enforcement power.
Okay.
Now as they have been assigned as a Article 3 court. This will be a tribunal ruling when it takes place. Because, see, that's what they were set up in 1890 there, to be have a tribunal ruling out of that 9 assessors department. Everything has to operate in threes.
So anybody who's on my back right now, I'm just going to tell them that I'm taking them to the International Court of Trade.
Yeah. You pretty much just say, hey, this is now being processed over to the United States Court of International Trade. You can take that green jacket document that I put up there, and needs to be changed a few things on it, okay, addressing these different Baileys, but I had it pretty close the other day when I posted it up the last time. But I didn't have it all fully laid out there, and then when you go in and now that you're going to process this in to this court, and basically you will have them bring about the final resolve on any mortgage, whatever. Okay? And basically any harm that they've been causing will be settled in that court, just like in the Merchant of Venice. He kept wanting the damn bonds. He wanted his bond. He refused the payment. He even refused the payment when it was offered to him twice or more in value. And then when he found that he could not harm the living to cause one drop of blood, and see, that's what, when they cause harm to us as the number 2 Bailey or Bailor, as we are the number 1 Bailey from the land. So now when they are causing harm to us, they're causing harm to the nation. Now that is a traitorous act. They are at war with the nation. And that's when he had to get down and beg for mercy. These banksters and the government and everything else have been more than justly compensated for all of their stuff that they've done. Everything else now out here is basically extortion.
You're so right. You're so right.
I just while you were going over the document, Patrick, I noticed a couple of misspellings. I've corrected them. Can I just save that and post that back up? You had
go ahead and change it if you can and post it back up.
Right. You had one of the forms misspelled, the form grantor trust. You left a letter out of confirmation, and I changed around the foreign conspiracy plan to the USA and state of benefit while you are deprived and controlled, where you didn't like the wording there.
Yeah.
And I added mortgage and all corporate contracts to the list.
Okay.
Okay. I'll save it out there.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome.
This is awesome work, Patrick. Really.
Well,
Patrick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I was just looking back at the documents that you posted this week. Could we be using and maybe changing a little bit on what you did on the American not-for-hire, David, to send out to the people that are on our backs right now, whether it be a mortgage or a court hearing or something like that?
You want to notify them that you're going to take that action to this International Court of Trade.
And that's what you did in that not-for-hire affidavit.
Right. And that basically this is to be adjudicated. Any further action will now is going to be adjudicated into this International Court of Trade, and basically any further harm you will be held liable for.
Well, the only thing I'm seeing is that we'd have to change that we will, or instead of I have, by my will, presented it as a quiet title petition. We change that to I will be doing that since we haven't done it yet.
Well, in the counter affidavit, he put it as I will, I have, or will. He had both.
And it's by your volute will, or let me see. There's another term, resident volute will, or something. Resolve, or I forget what the hell it was. If you look up volute, V-O-V, as in Victor, O-L-I, what the hell?
V-O-L-U-T-E, right?
Yeah, something like that. You'll see that basically it gives more power to the usage of the word will. And the other one, where it's two words, but the first word begins with R, that is a one with to where you have done further ascertaining of the right of that. powerful than just the word volute or yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that's the right spelling. I found out it was a pump or a particular geometrical shape. Spiral scroll, a deep machine mollusk.
Just a second, I'll pull it up here.
Yeah.
I got it.
What document is that?
It's in the definitions.
Okay.
Is it VOLIUIE?
Well, when you see it, you'll know it. Okay.
Right.
Because it talks about will.
The volition is a word about will.
Yeah, it's your volition. And then there's right in that with that, there should be one that talks about R.
In Black's Law Dictionary, there's a volume said non dixit. He willed, but he did not say. May have intended so, but he did not say so. A maximum.
No, that's not it. That's not it. Okay, hang on just a second. I'll tell you what it is. I'll read you the definition. I'm in the wrong dictionary. Hang on just a second. Go into basically Anderson. Or not Anderson, but Valentine's. I think that's where I had it.
Would love to have my own copy.
They're downloadable.
Yeah, I know, but my computer works like a snail.
Huh.
It shuts down before I can get anything pulled up.
VOLITION.
Right, volition.
Choice or determination by one's own will. You have the right of choice or the right of determination by your own will. And then the other word is rational volition. And that's even more powerful. Just like some of the old words that they used in the movie National Treasure when they were talking about the Declaration of Independence. You can go in and look for those words that they were talking about. Resolve. They used a slightly more powerful understanding of English back then.
I see.
Okay, any other questions or anything?
You got everything, guys, or you have some questions?
No, I think
We're mulling it over.
yeah, and
Is there anything we can do to help you, Patrick, to get this out?
Send me 3 secretaries.
If that's what you need.
Well, we can act like that.
Do you need somebody to come and help?
It's hard to do anything really unless you're basically sitting down right next to one another.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because basically, in a lot of cases, you have to think on your feet, and basically, your talking or your thinking process has to be done. It can't be done totally over a phone, even though I have gotten some damn good feedback from talking to certain people in this process. Because in that case, when I'm doing that, my mind is constantly going, and they've also got some good input that they've been giving me here recently, too.
You
Even
could do
though
that.
In some cases, they don't realize that they're giving good input. They are.
You could do some of that with, in addition to talking on Skype, doing screen sharing on type. So that's almost like them sitting next to you when they can both see the same screen.
Yeah, but basically you've got to have the time and everything to do that.
Yeah,
basically,
you got to organize.
When you don't have the setup and the freedoms to do that, then basically it's hard to do.
Well, I'm here all day long. If you need to do that, you can pop in on me at any time.
No, I'd say I don't. Okay.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay. But if you need it, I'm ready. Okay, well, I guess if there's no more questions, you've given us a lot to work with here, Patrick. It certainly is an advance, and we need to go over this several times so that when they come visit us, we can teach them.
Well, you need to get it. You're not going to teach them. You just have to be able to defend your case. Okay? Your case of understanding. So you have to get it down to where you can start rattling this stuff off. And basically, just to take this and look at it, and basically that ought to raise a lot of people's eyebrows of what's going on here.
Oh, yeah.
To see that basically all these people have been running around saying it's trust this and that, they're wrong.
I'm so visual when I learn things. I mean, this really just puts it in perspective for me.
You mean this flow chart?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like.
Have enough green jacket paper?
What is it?
Do you have green jacket paper, or do you need help with some of that?
No, I pretty much when I got some, I bought a 500 page ream of it.
Yeah, ream of it.
Yeah, I did some back when I was doing some stuff with the federal courts, trying to do something on something that I know they had to have the cover, certain colors for the covers.
And you need some plastic sheeting to put pages in.
Yeah. And when you do this, okay, you need to make up 3 packages, 3 copies. And then you have to have an original to be filed with the clerk. Okay? The 3 copies go to the 3 judges. Okay, and then the original is going to be filed in the clerk's records.
Correct. I know. I've seen that done, or have done that. I understand what you're saying there, Patrick.
Okay. Rational volition. Volition attended by the powers of reason to consider and judge the act done in all its relations, moral as well as physical. So basically, in most cases, you're operating your will in rational volition.
Right. Not just doing something because you want to because you're drunk.
It's doing it because you have the powers of reason and understanding.
Thought it out. You thought it out.
And that was, those two were out of Valentine's dictionary.
Okay. My Valentine's here is still in zip format. I have to unzip it. Very good, Patrick. Unless there's more questions, I think Patrick is...
Yeah, I got a question.
Go ahead.
Here, Patrick. Now, when you say that they've changed the system so much that, it's hard for us to get to our inheritance, what makes you think that they won't keep changing it while we're in the process of trying to get there, so eventually we're just jumping through a bunch of hoops, not really getting to the end result because they keep changing the system?
They are not changing this system, okay? It's been hidden. It's been hidden, but it has not changed. They can't change this.
It's pretty basic.
It's been here all along. But the deceivers out here, okay, and half of the damn gurus I know are deceivers out here because they don't want to try and further their understanding or even come close to trying to be an honor out here with anybody else. They have their own agenda. They're acting as arrogant assholes. You might think I'm one, but basically I've changed and I've apologized more than anybody else out here over the last 6-7 years.
Well, I hear what you're saying. I just think that it should be as simple as we state our will and then they do it. One-step process.
Yes, and basically it's been here. Okay, this $39 green jacket's been there. We just didn't get the full understanding that this was to be processed through the district court. The district court doesn't have jurisdiction over it. It had to be sent out to this International Court of Trade, or what it used to be, the United States Custom Court. Or before that, it was the 9-member panel in the Treasury Department. Or before that, it was to go and have a private law passed with your 2 state senators and the president pro tem. Now, you can almost rest assured, and see, that's a tribunal also. Your 2 state senators and the president pro tem. Now, if you're coming in from the state back then, and you put it to your 2 state senators, and you got the president pro tem, it's a done deal. And it better be, or else basically you're going back home, and basically one of those senators isn't going back into the Senate the next time around.
Well, yeah. The problem.
And then also, per the Constitution and the enacted laws out there, if you were in debt, you had a right previously to go directly to and petition the Secretary of the Treasury. It's in the statutes at large. But see, nobody has looked at all this stuff. So don't think that they're going to change it on you. The only thing that they can deceive you from is the stuff while original person's still there. So when you killed him off, you're on the way out right now.
Mm.
It's kind of like they have unlimited lies, right? And there's only one truth. So,
right.
You know, they can keep manufacturing all the lies, and if the certificate of live birth is a lie, well, then, you know,
it's going to be terminated in this process. It's gone. It'll be out of there. All of this stuff will be purged. You're going to be like in the movie Eraser. You're going to have Arnold Schwarzenegger show up at your door, and you're going to be erased or purged out of their system.
It's amazing how, you know, it even has any life when it was a fraud to begin with. So how can something be terminated if it was void from the beginning? So, in other words, we're giving it the life is the only way I can make sense of what you're saying.
No, we're not giving it the life, okay? It's a dead issue all along, okay? It has no life to it.
Right. So, and if it was enacted in fraud, then it's void.
You just believe that it is something, okay? That's the problem. You believe that they have the right to control you.
Yeah.
O ye of little faith and belief, I think was how it was phrased in the Bible.
You know, one thing in Washington State is they have two constitutions, and one of them is the de jure one, the 1878 one, and the other, the 1889 one, is totally fraudulent, with one person handwriting all the signatures of the supposed signers for the second constitution, and yet, you know, the government or whatever, or the corporate fiction posing as government, or even the services of government, isn't acting on
you know, you're arguing a point that doesn't have any validity whatsoever, okay? You're not under that Constitution, so why are you worried about it?
Oh, it's just that, I mean, there's a verifiable fraud that you can get two certified copies of each Constitution, and my question is, you know, well, why is it that, you know, they're acting in fraud, and yet it's so rampant?
Because they're a corporation. The original Constitution for the state was just a corporate charter, too. It was a charter to tell the public servants how to operate.
Oh, right. I totally comprehend that.
And basically, then the second one basically just reiterated or basically made modifications to it, and it was probably approved and enacted. If it has a proper enactment, then it can be a new charter.
That's the thing. It's not, though. The second version was not enacted at all. It's a huge, huge fraud that it's very easily, you know, verifiable if people just look into it.
Okay. What are you gonna do with this?
Oh, I'm just saying that it's like, you know, everything that, I mean, there's just frauds all over the place.
Yeah, but now that you know they're frauds, you can take care of them.
No, you just let it be.
Yeah.
Walk away from it.
Well, it's like we have.
It doesn't have any power over you.
Right. But we have a responsibility to
So
correct.
why are you even worrying about it? You know, the biggest killer in this nation is something called worry.
Mm-hmm.
People can't get over worrying about what the hell somebody else is doing. And they can't even take care of their own damn selves. That's the sickness that's in this country. I've got to control everybody else. And I'm in control. I definitely am in control. Yeah, right. You can't even control yourself if you're worrying about everybody else.
Not so much worried about
your goal is to find out the truth and be able to get out and be a free man and claim your American inheritance. Love thy neighbor as thyself and support and defend where you came from, the land, because your body is made up of all the minerals of the land.
Right, I comprehend that, and I think that what you said about, you know, we need to operate from our own court is so profound, and I haven't heard that anywhere else. So
yeah, and see
that part right there.
Yes, I told people that basically the word American, I can. And a mayor is a prince of a sovereign, a sultan, or a god. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
And then I, as the individual, can. One who has knowledge. The problem is there's no Americans left in this country because nobody has the right knowledge. They're just princes or pompous asses walking around.
Okay, any more?
Yeah, I have one, but I don't really want to.
Go ahead.
I don't want to rock the boat too much, okay? So.
No, I can do that too.
Yeah, okay. All right. So there's just something about that, you know, language has to have some sort of a, you know, how do you know that when you say something it's true, or it's like that there's not sophistry being added to it, or it could have different meanings? In other words, is there a math interface to it? Is there a way to say that what you said was what that you meant what you said and you're saying what you mean, so there's congruency? I mean, that's been such a challenging thing in itself.
Well, see, that's what dictionaries are for. Okay? A dictionary is basically the words of truth are there in the dictionary within the definitions of the words. You have to find the truth within those definitions of the words. And that's why dictionary ends in ARY, because the truth is there. You have to find it. And you might have to go to more than one to look up the definitions.
You know, I found out the other day, just going through the dictionary, I looked up MAR, M-A-R, part of grammar, you know, the basic of the construction of our language. And mar in the dictionary means to damage or spoil to a certain extent, render less perfect, and to disfigure, deface, or scar. So grammar is the weight of, scarring through the use of words. So what else we have? We got market, marriage, marina. Okay, so it's Mary. So in the Bible, okay, what is Mary supposed to represent? Because if we use the dictionary, at least on dictionary.com, type in M-A-R, it means to disfigure and deface, to scar. So Mary is someone, or she supposedly they're to disfigure, deface, or scar. And then through the use of grammar, we have, the weight of disfiguring through the use
What's
of
the
our
other word for marriage?
Union or whatever.
Huh?
Union.
How about wed?
Wed? Yeah, well, it's
Wed.
more about mar here.
No, it's more about wed. Okay? And basically, what do you end up with? Wed. Welding. Fixing two things together. Wedding them together.
Yeah, but that's for, okay, I comprehend what you're saying there, but what about mar?
Marriage, but mar, okay, this marriage, basically, it is one that basically is a corporation. Marriage came from corporations. The merger. A corporate merger is a marriage.
Yeah, well, which means to disfigure, to scar. Same thing with grandma.
There's several of them, okay? But take signature, okay? One of the guys was telling me about that earlier. Signature. Basically, there you've got what was the first thing you learned when you were in school? Was it how to sign your name or how to print your name?
Right, sign the name as a corporate fiction,
No,
right,
you're not getting the point. Two different items. Okay? One is basically sorcery or whatever, as a signature. Where printing and then sealing it with your thumbprint is basically your real signature.
Isn't the issue here that the same syllable has different meanings in different languages?
Yeah.
In Latin, mare means the sea.
Yeah, but in most cases, when you write something up, basically it is in your understanding, okay? You can understand a word entirely different than somebody else understands a word.
Yes.
Now, you have to make it perfectly clear that this is my understandings, and you have a problem with that. You had better come and ask me what my interpretation of that word is.
And that's why your document is strong, because you include the definitions.
Well, or basically I address the fact that basically I have the right to put my writing down there, and then basically if they do not understand what I'm saying, then they had better come and ask me.
You include like a footnote.
So in other words, it's left up to our definitions that we assign to our own document.
Yes, and basically, but you always say something in the very beginning. This is submitted under my understandings of what needs to be done. Therefore, basically, if they have a problem, they have to come and talk to you, which they will in this case.
So do you need a secretary to come and help you do some typing, Patrick, or what?
No.
I come and help. Say the word and we'll come down from Minnesota.
No.
Probably have better weather.
I'll try and have these packages, and you'll have your hands full trying to keep up with it.
Okay.
Or get it done as soon as I get these things out.
That's right.
Sounds good.
Because basically I've got something like right now about 19 attachments that I'm submitting in with this. And I'm got something like close to about 7 or 8 pages for the court document itself. And then about 19 attachments going along with it.
Wow.
That's why we're saying we'll come down from Minnesota and help you. I've done some of it before in another court case. I have an understanding. And she's a typer.
Okay.
We're willing to come down right now.
Well, basically, I hope to have this thing out in the morning.
Okay, but if not, you
Because
call
my
us.
family's,
We'll be on the
my
road.
family's ready to get rid of me anyway, so basically,
Well, we'll come and help with your family, too. I'm serious.
yeah.
I want to get this done as much as you do.
Or we can send a few ladies from the brothel.
No,
that wouldn't help right now.
That's a distraction. After he gets the paperwork out, then you can send them.
Yeah.
Right. Probably not very good with the green packet.
I'm basically supposedly one of the guys on one of the other shows there or something said something that basically I'm a wild man. Well, basically people don't know what the word wild really means when they use that word because if you're a wild man, you are a free man.
That's a compliment then.
Yes, I took it as a total compliment. I said, shit, those guys just didn't know it. They gave me a compliment.
Thanks, Patrick.
Well, we better let you get at it, Patrick.
Okay.
Hey, thank you very much, Patrick. It's been
Okay,
very
any other questions out there?
Oh yeah, I got one more. I don't mean that holds it over. Okay. I was thinking the other day about a conversation I had with somebody from the Selective Service legal department, and they asked me, "Well, what state were you born in?" And I said, "Well, Washington." And then he went into this whole long thing, but afterwards I thought, no, actually I was born in the state of my mother. She's the creator.
No, you don't argue that, okay?
Yeah, but it doesn't
Don't go there, okay? Please, don't go there, okay? You're not, that is the wrong understanding, okay? The Selective Service, if you're dealing with them, okay, yes, basically they've set the Selective Service up to be an insurance for the item, but you are also obligated to defend the nation from 18 to 25, okay, to do military service if called upon. Now, to do that, okay, you have a right not to support the nation or support the corporation, okay, if that's what the thing is. Because basically we didn't understand that when basically I went into the service, and almost all the people who went over to Vietnam and everything, it was all for the corporation. It wasn't, we weren't defending the nation, America. We were fighting for a corporation. And that's what all these people out here that are overseas right now, they're fighting for a corporation. They're not supporting and defending the nation. They are supporting and defending a corporation. That's what the Pledge of Allegiance was all about. And yes, those guys that wanted to remove it from the public school system were right on. But they never got their point across of why it needed to come out of that system. And just like when a serviceman goes in, why does he need to give an oath? If he's standing there, he is ready to defend the nation. It's because he's now giving an oath to a corporation, a pledging of his assets over to the corporation. And that's a pigness. And see, that's one of the other terms that people need to look up is any word that begins with TIG in the dictionaries. Jesus drove all the pigs into the ocean because they were all pledges, false pledges. When you get into the dictionary, another one is to look up LOCT and look at all the definitions, and there's only about 8 of them, I think, that have that in there. In either Anderson's or Valentine's, whatever I was looking at, Bouvier's. But see, that's where it came up with locator. And see, our fictional person is a resident, our corporate fictional person is a resident locator. To locate his account in the Department of the Treasury. The Department of the Treasury is the corporate side of the Treasury out here. The Treasury Department oversees both the corporate side and also the We the People Treasury, access to We the People's Treasury. And that's what I tried to put out with that document, the establishment of the Treasury Department. Not the Department of the Treasury. The Department of the Treasury was a sub-corporate department within the Treasury Department. And see, that's what you have to look at all this stuff, is all these states are now state of. That means they were derived from the Constitution, law of the land, state. Iowa, Ohio, Wisconsin, Washington. The other was a new corporate charter. And in some cases, those were the 14th Amendment corporations, to where they became state of. Because they were derived from the original.
So wouldn't we be state of in our last name or family name or whatever, our God name?
What was that now?
Okay, wouldn't we be the state of our last name? So you would be state of Divine, Patrick, something?
No. If you want to be a state of, okay, we are just Patricks on the land. Okay? And you came from the family divine or whatever. You need to have that attachment because basically that is your above ground lineage. Accessing lineage. Okay?
No, I'm not following that one. Well, the whole. I mean, if we're born, right, we're stayed
are
up.
we not above the ground?
Yeah, of course.
Okay? Now, since we're above the ground, we basically have a family that basically, a mother and a father that basically put the seed into place into the oven, and basically then all the minerals were added into the oven to basically process you out of the oven. Okay? The hatchery. Now,
right.
You have a lineage, an inherent lineage back through that ancestral process. That is why you have to have your mother's maiden name on your birthing certificate and your father's name on your birthing certificate, whether it be your hospital birth certificate or whether it be that counterfeit birth certificate. It has to show the lineage. Which family did you come from? So that you can go back then to your mother or father's document and find your family tree. Your genealogy.
Well, on the private side, that's supposed to be in the Bible, right? Which is why.
Well, yeah, basically you could have done that. But basically a hospital birth certificate is also still on the private side. Because it's a document that you put your seal upon, your footprints. That is an actual document.
But our spirit,
the certificate of live birth is a counterfeit if you got your original hospital document, because it's a plagiarism upon the real. It doesn't have all the parts of the original.
Right. So our spirit is of our Father, right? And with that, we would be the state of, say, our last name, state of, and then we'd be the United
Whatever
States
you want to do, okay?
Of
However
America.
you want to do it, okay? Just be careful and don't fuck it up, okay?
All right.
And I think you're close to doing it. You better think about it very seriously before you do something.
Yeah, I just think it does has logical sense.
Yeah, but you're making
Yeah,
it
but
very
you're arguing something that basically is not going to have any real bearing, but in your argument of it, you may end up screwing everything else up that you really want. Just keep it simple, okay?
You need to stop talking and listen.
Yeah, you're making it really very complicated.
Figuring that you start from the beginning. I mean, our truth is from what we know from our own logic.
Okay. You want the truth, okay? Go back to the Bible, the Old Testament. How many names did they have in the Old Testament?
Lots.
No, one. They had one name. Abraham, Moses, Joseph, Daniel. The only time that they ever really had another name is if there was 25 Daniels in the family. Then it might have been like old George Foreman, George 1, George 2, George 3, George 4. But he was so Being he was a boxer, he was a damn punch drunk. That basically, the only name he could remember was George. Still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
The line was breaking up considerably for me.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on. There was a lot of static there for a second.
Yeah, but it's all right now.
Patrick, when you talk about green sheets, are you just talking about the green cover, or does every page have to have a green sheet?
No, just the outside. It's
just
a
the
jacket.
outside. Okay.
Yeah, you put a blank one behind, and you put a on the front. You make a green jacket cover sheet, and that's what I sort of the typing that I had up there. You need to have an identification of that, basically saying that this is the green jacket cover.
Okay.
You know, see, even the green jacket that they give out at Augusta down there basically has a little decal or whatever on it saying that basically this is he's the master golfer for the year. Sort of like all those guys at Princeton and stuff like that that wear those blazers or used to. They all had what sorority or what society or what frat, whatever they belong to.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any more? Yeah. Any more, guys? I guess not.
No, we're good.
Okay.
Okay. Talk to you later.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay. You take care. Bye.
Bye now.
Hey, Thomas, are you there?
I think he left, Gita.
Yeah, I mean, I got confused, so I got on late, so I couldn't figure out what it was. So it's probably just a cover, right?
Yeah, it's just like a resume cover. I have some left over from something else I was doing. You can get them at Office Max. They're kind of fancy, and they've got like a little crest on them, and they fold over. They're real pretty. They're inexpensive.
So they go
on so you just ask. Okay. Go ahead.
It goes on top of the packet, and then it goes into a.
Well, you put all your papers inside that. You just put it inside. It's not a.
I think I know what you mean. Like the children use it at school, but it's
it's like a jacket.
Yeah, jacket. I know what it is. Yeah.
But it's really, really hard.
Yeah, they're pretty tight.
When I did it for the courts, I just put a green covered sheet over the top of it. I didn't put it in a jacket or a binder or anything. And you just staple it all together.
So you can put it in a folder and then stick it in the envelope.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if they will accept it that way. That was for a federal court case that I was doing it for.
I got some clear plastic things that you could. It's like it's the size of a sheet, but you can stick a few sheets of paper inside of it. Plastic pages.
You can use that also?
Yeah.
Have you done it part, Tom?
No, I just got the materials when Patrick mentioned it last year.
Okay, what I did it for the federal court case, it was a green sheet, just a green paper that covered all the papers below, so they recognized that case.
Right.
It wasn't anything that it was in or anything that way. It was just a cover sheet.
Well, he wants
a blank. The document
and
was blank.
And a blank one on the back and the printed one on the front.
Well, I didn't even print on it. It was inside that, so that they recognized the color, because there was different colors that you had to use for different things.
Right, but he prints the case caption on the front.
Okay. And you put that like in a sheet protector, maybe?
No, it was just a plain paper.
Oh.
That's what he suggested before, but with 18 pages, I don't know how he's going to get it in one of those.
Yeah.
19 attachments. Wow.
And I'm thinking he may have to have separator sheets in between each of those attachments with a collar to separate the attachments.
Maybe.
Is that for his different corporations he's designating, maybe?
Right.
He may have different affidavits and things that he's doing too.
That's to separate it so that they can page right to that section or something.
Mm-hmm.
But he probably has his not for hire affidavit in there.
So is this a not for hire package that he was talking about earlier?
Yeah, and get out of the system.
Yeah.
No, this court case that he put up some documents for.
He'll have at least 9 documents for us, I know.
Right.
But to get out is the not for hire, basically, right?
Well, yes, getting out is stopping the hiring, but it's also stopping the bailment too. And I guess stopping the bailment precedes even stopping the hire. If you stop the bailment, that certainly stops the hire, because they can't hire anybody.
And then you kill the guy.
Yeah.
Then you kill the guy.
Well, and I was wondering whether that should have been a red cross on that sheet rather than a black cross in the middle. If we're going to crucify him.
And I can't wait. I cannot wait to tomorrow. I am going to do a letter to Bank of America and telling them about their stuff.
Well, they're not for hire, first of all.
Well, right, but you can tell them, do it my way or I'm going to crucify you.
Exactly. and you go after the individual. You don't go after the corporation. So I can name names.
Well, that's the thing about the Article 3 court is when you go in there, the people don't have their corporate immunity anymore.
Right. Right. And I can name the people going all the way back to day one that I had as case managers, and you believe me, these people that treated me like crap.
Oh, you got to keep us updated then. This is good. This is good.
They are going down. All the double talk that I got, they are going down.
Good.
Patricia, did you see that affidavit that I was talking about that Patrick had posted on 312?
Yeah. I think so, yeah.
Yeah, if we reword that a little bit. That's one I didn't send out on my traffic ticket because I was having a problem that I have by my will presented it to the court, and that's where I was going to change it to I will.
Well, as I mentioned on his counter affidavit, he took care of that by just stating, I have or will.
Right, he's got it in the counter affidavit, but he also put in the American not for hire affidavit.
Right, and
where
he should, but I'd just go ahead and change that and say I have or will, and then you can use it in either case.
Right. I would send the American counter affidavit along with it, too, but I've already sent that in to them, but they're still not reading.
Yeah, I sent that in to them when I did the countersigning of the mortgage. I'm sure I did.
Right, but they're still not reading the paperwork, but this one here is less print, and it's telling them that we will. Yeah.
But the point of an affidavit is that they don't refute it as true. And if they don't read it, they don't refute it.
Right. And on the one they said the letter that I sent, they read bits and pieces, and then they subcontract out bits and pieces because I'm getting responses from different banks, different legal people, and they'll say, well, this expired 3 years after the mortgage was signed and you can't get out of it. But we're not disputing that there were violations of TILA.
Right. All that is to just give you 3 dozen different things to worry about. That's just meant to confuse you. They're ignoring the basic point.
Exactly, meaning that we're not saying we weren't wrong, but you can't do anything about it anyways.
Yeah.
And as I was telling Marshall earlier, fraud is fraud, no matter when you did it.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If we send this paper back saying that we will take them into that court now.
And thanks for the admission.
Yeah.
Hey, Marshall, did you want to talk to me about that set thing that they talked tonight about, the affidavit?
No, it was about the other one.
All right. Did he talk anything about the international will?
No.
Nope.
No. Okay. All right.
That's what Chris is talking about.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting.
I don't know if we're going to need that. Do you?
Yeah. No.
I don't think.
Well, Chris wants is the authority to be able to act as a banker, and Patrick doesn't really think that's necessary, and in fact, by getting the enforcement out of the court, that would make this all moot.
Okay.
Well,
oh, okay.
Can I say something about that?
Yeah.
In my research of putting together the flow chart for Gemstone, we keep altering and changing it, predicated on the materials that are coming to me. If you stop and think about changing your status and classification, what is necessary for that to happen? There's a half a dozen different documents that actually allow you to change your status and classification. One of the few things that came up in my research was international wills. International wills is what I would call a non-statutory, non-commercial, non-negotiable instrument that once you file it at the Secretary of State's office, it is her duty as to give notification out to each and every one of the other franchise instrumentalities and agencies of their so-called corporate government as to the as to the change of status and classification of where you're no longer unsecured, you're no longer common stock, you're no longer without a proxy vote that allows you to navigate yourself in their world, exempt from any prosecution of the commercial commerce that they have been laying out on people who are unsecured and or wards of the state and or they're just basically common stock of where the state actually makes decisions on their behalf.
So it affords you some protection while Patrick's system is still underway.
Well, there's no conflict with what Patrick is doing. What I'm saying is that if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it right to start with. Mm-hmm. That way I get the acknowledgement that I am acknowledged whenever I put an order in or instructions that they're going to do that because they have already accepted that I am either the executor and or the trustee of that will as to execute the duties of that will. And that means that when I say jump, these officials have to do that because this is their world. I'm just learning how to navigate and work their world and to be able to get what I want done. And
now, is there a format to do this? Is it just like a legal will, like you would make your own will and testament for your death?
Well,
to submit.
If you start with, there's a whole bunch of things that you could possibly look at, and I know that Brenda and Sylvia over on a couple of the other sites are getting close. But you do have to do something that proves that you are a living party. If you have a certificate of life or something to that effect, that would be a good thing. But the way the probate statutes in California says that the Secretary of State would receive an international will, gives and lends support to the foreign trust that you set up. And then by doing that, what you're doing is you're giving notification that you're doing business as a foreign entity to the state. They can no longer put you in a category of commerce. They have to treat you with special handling. They can no longer prosecute you without your consent. This comes under the Attorney General's office. And it also allows you, if you were to be open to it, as to plug into these accounts that are sitting underneath the Attorney General's office for execution of flows of funds coming out of these accounts. Now, in my latest findings, I went from the Attorney General's office, of which I worked all week on that research, and come to find out I was exactly right on target. The Secretary of State has to give notification to the Attorney General's office and to the Supreme Court of the state as to your new classification and status. The other documents are to go up to the Bureau of Public Debt, and they're also to go to the DOJ up in Washington, D.C. as to the alterations, the status, and the classification that you're filing under an international will. These are fine details that will make you totally covered when it comes to being court tested with your foreign trust. If you do not do these things, you're leaving yourself totally wide open as to be subject to the statutes and codes as soon as they find an angle to come in at you, and you will virtually be right back where you started with before you start any of this.
Mm.
So.
Okay, so the question I was asked is there a definite format of international wills that we can use to make?
Not that I've found so far.
Okay. Can you help us with those?
Maybe. I'm caught between a couple of different things going on right now, and I haven't perfected this stuff. The fact is that I don't have money to file this stuff. It's not that expensive, but part of what you guys wanted to find out last week, of where I was a little snippy because I didn't have money to do my own process, but I found exactly how you become an ambassador. I found exactly how you can get non-commercial plates, and it's not through the DMV. What does happen is that the constitutionally based government will give notification to the DMV that you're a non-commercial entity and that you're to be treated as an ambassador once you file all this other stuff I just got done saying.
Okay.
In my mind, I've got all this stuff laid out, but no, I haven't put it on paper yet.
Okay, well, we could ask the same question. Do you need a secretary?
Yeah, can we help you?
But what I'm saying is that I want to be absolutely thorough, that if anything came down in this country with the papers that I'm working on, you will be exempt from any type of slavery, imprisonment, and or prosecution by whatever forces may be, that you would have to be released. This is the same identical situation that happened in World War II when they would ask for each person's papers as to whether or not you were subject to arrest under their martial law. Mm-hmm. And my whole idea is to be absolutely walking through any situation anywhere in the world and to be absolutely exempt from any type of detainment and or imprisonment and or prosecution. And I have been working on this research for a bit. As I said, I'm doing some of it for Gemstone University. We put together a package for people that virtually don't understand this stuff. So we've laid it out from the beginning stages, and now we have to go back and start changing some of that because things have changed in my research, and what I found needs to be filed in the beginning stages of all this.
Okay.
Would that also help people who have foreclosure and stuff?
So if you're having filing problems, maybe one of us could do the filing and see how it works.
It's all about money, Tom.
Yeah. I know. But I have a little bit of money, not a whole lot, but I could do some filing.
Yeah. The first thing I need to do, and this is just a key contents that you need to keep in mind. One of the requirements is that the will has to be filed offshore. In other words, what we came to an understanding is that you file it at the embassy. For my foreign trust, I landed that with an address over in England. So I have to go to the embassy down in San Francisco as to have them notarize the signature of the certificate of will, which would be the correct way that the Secretary of State will accept the fact that there is a private will, international will, that now changes and alters the decedents. And thank God for, who was it, Iblo? He came forward a couple of weeks ago and brought forward the decedent information. I don't know if everybody got that information, but
no,
I thought
didn't.
the world of the fact that he had just 2 paragraphs. Tom, you remember when he posted that just between you and me and him?
But it was still on the checkout group, or was it on our own private call?
It was our private call.
I can probably find that and search it out.
Yeah, you should probably give that to everybody, because that would be how you work your definition of a decedent. The decedent, the way the definition read, was a legal definition of decedent. It does not necessarily mean that you are dead.
Right.
But it could also mean that you're corporately dead. When I filed my SS4s with the IRS, I made it very sure to them that this was a corporate death. The corporation was retiring. It was not a living death certificate person or people, if you will, that I was using the decedent properly, and I did not have that information that Iplo gave just a couple of weeks ago, but it clarified the fact that when you file as a decedent, is that what you're doing is you're doing a corporate death.
Now, when you say you need to file this offshore, can you file this in Canada?
You could. I would pursue where your foreign trust is established. I would follow that.
Yeah, it's in Canada.
Yeah, so is my.
Oh, well, there you go. Yeah, you could do it in Canada. Whatever way you want to do that.
That's 15 minutes away.
Oh, okay. Well, then you have the advantage of doing that. I have to do mine either in England and or at the embassy down here, and they have notary service. We already researched that, and they will document. So what I was thinking about doing is taking my international will or the certificate of international will that basically spells it out that I am exempt from any codes, statutes, and regulations of the United States, therefore not subject to those unless I give my express written consent. So you take that document, you get it notarized, that you are the foreign trustee for that document, and then you go ahead and take it up and get it apostilled, and the destination would be England. So what you've got is you got the foreign trust, you've got the embassy is actually doing their notary, which is under England. Then you have a apostille before you take the international will and file it with the Secretary of State. Is you go ahead and have it apostilled. Now there is no dispute. You've got 3 different documentations that is unrebuttable. You've got the foreign trust, you've got the embassy signing off on it, you've got an apostille that plants that right in England. So with that, there is no dispute because it would be court tested by the Secretary of State. They explained to me that if you do an international will and they deem that it is not solid, they will not file it as an international will, but they will file it as a will. They said there's nothing that would stop them from filing a will, but the will has to be court tested as to. You don't have to go into a court. What I'm saying is that if any issues arise, is that you have to have these particular things done in order for it to be court tested if it came down to it.
Okay.
So, but the reasons why I'm saying this is because the information that I've got now, oh God, you guys are this is gonna blow you guys away. The Attorney General's office is basically the CFO banker for California. The Attorney General's office is the helmsman to the estate and trust accounts, including funds coming into the state, sanctions, warrants, and orders to draw upon these trust accounts that are sitting underneath the Attorney General's office. And I've already concluded this. told Patrick about it. Some of those accounts are called charity trusts, and what transpires is between the comptroller and the treasury of the state is they dump in federal funding coming in from the federal government into these accounts, and they become pooling agreements and a secondary market of where what they do is they lien and levy against them for their own purposes for capital gains. And then also they set up all the agencies and franchises and instrumentalities within the state as a 501c3, even if they're not a religious organization. They consider them a public benefit. So in other words, the Bar Association and the DMV are two of the arms that have access to these funds coming in to be able to set up what they call as a certificate of title. The certificate of title is a secondary market investment security of where it's an underground security transaction of where the state, not the federal government, the state is fully involved with making profiteering off of splitting the title and making you become a slave. And my idea is that the Attorney General will have to change their tune when you get your international will filed and the IRS says that you have to fill out a 3520 for any estate and or foreign trust as to the total assessment. That means that if you go back to the dissolution papers that Patrick and me worked on, the dissolution was perfect with one exception. It called upon the Attorney General's office, it called upon the Treasury, it called upon the comptroller of the state as to wrap up all of these securities, and the only thing that I could put my finger on, the reasons why they didn't do this and return the funds so I can report it back to the IRS, was the fact that I didn't have an international will that was on file that they acknowledged. So they had nothing that gave me or lent me any authority for them to respond to me. That's how important stuff. If you get this stuff wrong, you're gonna be.
That's why they didn't see you. That's why they couldn't see you.
Exactly. So if you do it right to start with, you don't have to go back and try to figure out, well, where did I go wrong? Because there was nothing wrong with the dissolution papers we did 2 years ago. Nothing wrong with them. The only thing that was wrong is that I had the cart before the horse. I didn't do the international will. I didn't have the foreign trust. They could not acknowledge me as a public entity, as a foreign trustee. Therefore, I put the orders and the will. The intent of the will is to do certain things, is wrap up everything in commerce and return these funds either to the IRS and or to the estate and or the foreign trust. If you fail to get acknowledged by them, they don't have to answer you because they consider you a common stock, which is equal to being a ward of the state, of where they don't have to acknowledge you at all.
So all these OIDs and all these 1099s that we've done, they don't see us. So once we do the will,
I would suspect that, and there was some more rumors on some of the other calls, some of the other Skype windows that people are being arrested for the OID. So I just want you guys to be very, very careful if you're using that. I don't mind if once you get acknowledged as a foreign trustee to the international will, you can do whatever you want. You're pretty much impenetrable because you're held harmless with the exception of fraud and robbery of funds in the trust. That's a no-no for you to do. But as far as it goes for filing a 1099 OID, I would say that once you become the private banker, once you become the foreign trustee, you are acknowledged by these people. Now you're authorized to put a signature on the OIDs. You're not up to this point, is my opinion.
Okay.
So, I mean, you can take it for where it's worth. I don't want you guys getting into trouble. If you do all these other documents that I'm talking about and actually get the medallion on your certificate of will, when you change your status to foreign trustee, the DOJ up in Washington, D.C., the Bureau of Public Debt, both of them acknowledge that you're the foreign trustee and the private banker to these accounts. Now you can conduct business without any harm coming to you.
Okay.
And what kind of foreign trust papers do they need? Do they just need our foreign grantor trust number, or do they need actual documents?
Well, I'm being very selective and very careful with how I put the certificate of international will together. You can go to the requirements of the international will in the probate codes of your state.
Okay.
And it will actually give you the certificate. It's the template that you can pull. If you have any problems, go to California Probate Code and put in international will, and it will give you the certificate of international will right in that whole code.
Okay.
So that is the requirement. You can put more ingredients in it. You can specify that you're exempt from any prosecution, that you're held harmless, that you are not subject to the codes, that the probate doesn't apply to a private international will, that any of the estates that are with real estate and other objects such as automobiles also are to be considered part of the foreign trust, with the exception that it's conducting business within that territory, such as the state of California in my case.
Hey, Chris, so Patricia, you sent in OIDs, right?
I sent in 2.
I sent in about 4. I crossed out penalty and perjury.
Yeah, you can do that.
Yeah, or I just put my name in all caps, typed it in. So I think we're okay, right? Patricia and I are not going to go to jail.
Yeah, if it had penalty of perjury, then it was just a typed in name. Where exactly. So I wasn't
feel okay.
signed.
But
as your commercial,
Chris,
as your commercial liability. Okay, all right.
What do you mean commercial liability?
Well, in other words, your all cap name with the birth certificate, security accounts is actually covering any liability.
Yeah, all caps.
Right.
I mean, where you sign it, I just typed in my all caps name, the one that's on a foreign granted trust.
And I sent in a real.
But this international will sounds so cool.
It does.
Well, it's mandated. It's mandated. This is the reasons why no one is actually having any effect. And I'm part of a couple other groups. I just shake my head back and forth. It's nice to have fancy and frilly documents, but unless you've got the brass tacks of what it's going to take in order to be the enforcement of these estates and the foreign trust, is that you're not going to be recognized, and you might as well get it right to start with.
Yeah.
Hey, Chris, my question is, can the International Trade Court serve as the adjudicating court for that international will?
Well, the thing is that you don't want to strike controversy in any capacity. If you have a problem and you need to do a court test, yes, I would agree with you. But until you actually have an order or an instruction to the state as to what it's supposed to do, I would not touch that court for any reason unless you've got a controversy is that under such and such treaty, under certain rules, under international wills, under the probate code, these are the things that have been denied. I am the enforcer. When it comes down to it, I am the trustee that has to get this stuff done. I have no choice. That's what a trustee does. If the state fails, any agency fails to honor and respect that, then I can move it up to that court.
Well, isn't that what we're doing when we are bringing closure to the estate of the decedent?
Well, yeah, but if you get everything that I just got done saying done, and you get everything back, and you've got acknowledgement from the DOJ to the public debt and to the state Secretary of State and the Attorney General's Office of Comptroller and the Treasury of the state, once you get them to acknowledge the fact that you are the helmsman, you're the captain, and that means that the Attorney General cannot consider that account or that estate and or that foreign trust as a ward of the state, therefore they have to get your permission to do anything. But on the averse side is that when you put an order in, it is on the benefit of those estates and those foreign trusts, and when they fail to accommodate that, now it becomes a controversy of where now it becomes a trespass and an injury for obvious reasons. You can move it to a different location. You don't need to argue with these people.
And you're protected until the other comes through. You're protected until the International Court of Trade comes through.
Yeah, I would say you probably are. But one of the things about the state of California is that when I went and studied the law of what's really going on, they consider you a ward of the state and a common stock. Common stock doesn't have any proxy or voting power, and so that means that they don't have to acknowledge or deal with you at all. They can turn their back and not have anything effective. So the thing is that once you you sneak in without no controversy, you sneak in and get your international will acknowledged. Now start putting your orders in after it's been acknowledged, because the Secretary of State is a process server, and it's her duties to make sure that all the agencies within the state are given notification that they cannot prosecute you as a common stock. They can only prosecute you if they get your consent to be prosecuted, and they have to get your written consent as to do any prosecution, and they cannot bring it into a commercial court. They have to do it either in probate or a trust or equitable court, and it has to be special handled. They cannot run you like they normally do everybody else through the commercial, admiralty, and maritime courts.
Right. And I've gotten letters back from them saying that we are not going to even read your correspondence anymore. So, I mean, this does classify you as a different person, entity.
Yeah. So they're treating you like a common stock, a ward of the state, and that means that they can shit all over you. One of the things about when you put your international will in, it goes over to across the street over to the Attorney General's office, and what happens is now they change the status and classification of all your accounts that they've been bleeding dry in the state. And here again, you can't go to jail, you can't go to prison, they can't arrest you because you've got the same qualifications as right in the constitutional law. It says that you're an ambassador or a diplomatic status, and that means that they have to special handle it. It cannot be a run-of-the-mill, and on top of it, when you put a plug in all these accounts, and that you're the one that have to sign off on any withdrawals that come out from the agencies, instrumentalities, or franchises of the state, is that now they will not pursue you for one reason. There's no money in it for them. They're going to have to put much out of pocket to try to prosecute you. And for what reason will they do that? It's all for free money. It's all the reasons why they're doing any of this.
So instead of getting our letters of threats that work sometimes, and, you know, it's a lot of work, this is a little more effective.
Well, the thing is we're supposed to be totally at peace. There is no controversy. When you put an order in, this is what we found out last week. Everybody that tested the Secretary of State by creating an order that was based off of either a declaration of will or an expression of the will or an order of the will, all were successful with having the Secretary of State handle that. That was a big bingo last week. We finally realized that the Secretary of State honors anything that looks like a will on behalf of that estate. That was a big answer.
I want my diplomatic plates.
Well, you will get them. I've already found the codes. It places you under international wills in California law. It places you right at the ambassadors and diplomats. It's in the same sentence. There's no period. It includes you as an ambassador and a diplomat once you file an international will. Now, what part of that are you guys not understanding?
I love it.
And then all you have to do is run across the other side of the street, file your registration papers with a constitutionally based government, not one of these franchises or, the DMV, and they will contact the DMV on your behalf as to inform that you're exempt from all the prosecutions of the DMV code, that you are not to be detained. See that?
Well, isn't the International Trade Court a constitutional court?
Like
that's what it says in the paperwork I was looking at.
I think what you should probably do is it's a provision. It's a provision under the. Hey Tom, what was the name of that tax? The original tax code. Not embargo. It was.
I thought it was Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution.
I can't remember the name of the tax code, but it was one of the original tax code that got us into a rebellion stage in the beginning. But anyway, it's like an excise tax.
Whiskey tax?
Huh?
You're not talking about the whiskey tax.
No. We talked about it just the other day.
Not the tariff, is it?
Tariff, yeah, that's it. Tariff.
Oh, okay.
Tariff tax. That's what they originally were handling. So it was importation. It was commerce.
Right.
It was,
customs. It was originally a customs court.
Yeah. If you go over and look at tariff taxes under Wikipedia, Wikipedia. You go over there and look at it, you'll be blown away because it gives you the whole history of the court that we're addressing. The thing is that because your international will makes you an international individual that has to be separately. It comes under the Foreign Sovereign Immunity Act, and that means that they have to go to Washington D.C. to bring any kind of a lawsuit against you, to even touch your car. And that's the other thing in the codes that I found, that once you file your international will and you file for the registration of non-commercial use, and it states it right in there, not for hire, all in caps, right in their codes.
Okay. Yeah, I was about to add. I was going to ask my next question. Does the not for hire stuff tie into everything we're talking
right in their
about?
codes, and it says that you're exempt from tow. They can't touch your vehicle.
Oh my God!
So
isn't that what all the diplomats have? And
my brother got diplomatic plates at one point, but then he had to turn them in.
Yeah, because they court tested it. In other words, they just looked at it and said, no, this guy doesn't have the paperwork.
Right.
Yeah, and so, like I said, I'm unwilling to get into certain things until I get certain other things straightened out first.
So I'm here. I just Googled Certificate of International Will. I've got Chapter 860. I must have to go someplace else.
I don't know. You're in Michigan, right?
No, I'm in New York.
Oh, New York. Yeah. Well, New York has probably got because that is one of the key places where people come into this country is in New York.
So I just do New York?
Yeah, I would say. And the other thing that's looking pretty relishing at this point is I'm in contact with the Expatriate Society, and I'm not so far off from just going ahead and doing expatriate and making it explicitly concentrated in exactly what it is that I'm trying to do in the international will, is that it's a conditional expatriation of the corporate United States of America, and not necessarily reflects my feelings towards the people unincorporated. But if you're going to play around with those kind of words, you got to be very explicit. You got to look at it from different angles. You can't just swashbuckling, just go in there, start making statements that are separate from what the prescribed certificate of international will is about. Got to be very careful about that. But no, in your beginning stages, to get acknowledged, to change your status and classification, there's nothing stopping you from doing that. They're not going to put up a big fight with you. It's not that big of a controversy. What is a controversy to them is you pulling the plug on their pooling agreements at the state level and pulling your funds out from underneath them. So it's just like what Patrick and me were talking a couple years ago about, is that instead of pulling the plug on them, of where now all the other pooling shares or people's wealth that are being held by the Attorney General, is that you make a deal with the Attorney General that you receive the proxy vote, and that you receive all the capital gains and interest off of these accounts, and that you will leave it intact as a principal for them to leverage and levy. And with that being said, you're lessening your abilities to be in controversy with them, because there's no sense of getting in fights with these people, because they're just like a clam at the beach. As soon as you stick something in them, it's like they clam up, and you don't want to do that. You know, and you shouldn't have to, being the foreign trustee. When you say you want something done, as long as it's lawful, is they should be doing this. And the only thing that I can say is they need to acknowledge you and accept the fact that you have changed your status and classification, that you're no longer the child or the minority, that you are age of majority, and that you assume the proxy vote of all those assets. As soon as you do the proxy vote, you make a happy medium with them saying, I will leave the principals in here, and I want notification for anybody that needs to withdraw any funds out of these accounts, and I have to give my written express consent for that to happen. Now, that's the way the law was supposed to be. If you go to Title 16 of the California codes, you will find out that the lead to sue was the proper way for each and every one of us is to have a probable cause hearing and to sign off that we give consent to be sued. That was the proper way for it to be done in the state of California. But when they incorporated and left us behind as a ward of the state. Therefore, they're the trustee that makes decisions on our behalf.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the reason why they have no bars held. Anytime they want to come and screw you for money, is that they've got full carte blanche without no restrictions or limitations to do that, and that's exactly what's happening to all these groups until you get the proper documents filed as to change the status and classification. So there you go, your answer.
Yeah. They've got it right here about getting an apostille and this is doable. This is exciting.
Well, I know that this is not a conflict with what Patrick is doing. It's just that I want to be absolutely sure that I'm going to be effective with any paperwork that I do. And I just saw too many different vulnerable or flawed areas that Patrick wasn't covering. And you guys need to at least know it. If you fail to do this stuff, it's not my problem from after the time I give it to you.
Well, I think it's just an extra measure of protection here.
It's thorough. It's doing it right.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
My question is, what would the cons be for being a foreign trustee? Because I was always like had the understanding that you don't want to take the position of trustee in any regard.
If it's dealing with you and your private trust or estates, have fun, enjoy it. Because you, as a trustee, you're held harmless. If you can prove that the state failed to give you these funds back and close out these accounts or give you the capital gains or put you in a status of ambassador and diplomat, it is not the trustee. The trustee did his job. It would be an issue for the foreign claims court up in Washington, D.C., because then they would show that the state is obstructing justice, and because the IRS requires you to fill out a 3520 as to the total assessment of the estate, and when the state fails to provide that, you fill out a 3949A along with financial suspicious activities with FinCEN, and then you go ahead and go over to Duns and Bradstreet and file a credit report of refusing to assist you with the settlement and closure of these accounts, therefore obstructed justice and currency, and that's going to ding their credit for the state like you wouldn't believe. Then you got their attention for sure. But that's what it takes sometimes, you know. Because when you affect their pocketbook, that's where you're going to get their attention.
Because they've affected ours for so long.
Yeah, it's money for nothing and checks are for free. You know that song? That's exactly what the state. They are so used to money, and just think about it, folks. the money that are coming in from the wire transfers for real estate,
yes.
home loans, auto, credit cards, all of these are coming through the hands of the Attorney General's office because they've got every one of these entities strapped right to an electric chair. They have to do it the way the state wants it. The state has their hands on everything as far as goes for finances.
And they're double dipping, aren't they?
Well, the double dipping comes in when you fail to put in a claim, and I just found the information in the Treasury today. I found. Let me read off one thing to you. You guys are just you're gonna drop your chops when I read this one thing. Here it is. This is the government code. The auditor shall examine and settle the accounts of any person indebted to the county or holding monies payable into the county treasury, and shall certify the amount to the treasurer. Upon the presentation and the filing of the treasurer's receipt, therefore, the auditor shall give such person a discharge and a charge the treasury of the state with the amount received by him. Now, this is the way it was supposed to work. And instead of running off to the IRS trying to get them to do something, why are you not working? This is what their job is in the county. This is what their job in the state. They're supposed to take these wire transfers that they're holding on to as financial trustees, and they're supposed to execute it as soon as you have a bill. You give it to the Treasury of the county. The Treasury of the county gets compensated by the Treasury of the state that it has the wire transfer already in hand that runs all the utilities and all the promissory notes and everything else.
Huh.
It's as simple as that.
What you read sounds exactly like what the OID through the IRS, the original issue discount, was supposed to be accomplishing.
Yes. With one exception, is that they want to know your residency. And the international will is they allow you to do business in the state. Once you get your certificate of international will, now you can conduct business in the state as a foreign trustee. I mean, it's beautiful. And on these estates that have been located in the state, you have the abilities of utilizing the auditor of the county and the auditor of the state as to receive these funds yourself, or have them, and this is what your point was, is that the money that is sitting there that they consider abandoned are put into their coffers or their offshore accounts. There's no doubt about it. But when you put your receipts in, and you put your billing statements in, they have to pay that and compensate it and zero out the books.
The counter for them.
You're not out of any money out of your own pocket.
Wow. Sounds good. Sounds real good. But I did hear what you said earlier ago, and I mean you said it like twice. I'm sorry, this is Marvell. You said that you have to properly put these papers in, and that's because you also stated that you did something earlier, and they pretty much ignored a lot of us. So my question would be, where are these papers, and are there examples so we can do them properly to send them in?
I'm putting this stuff together based off of my research.
Okay.
And like so many people ask me, do I have this on paper yet? No. What I've got a little mouse that's running on a treadmill in my head, and it runs all night, all day long, all night. And I accumulate this stuff, and in an abstract of mind, I put this stuff together. And right now, I'm so close of having my understanding of what I need to do. I almost have it coherently in my head right now. I mean, I'm sharing a lot of this stuff with you.
Oh, well, that's great. So that means after a while, we'll probably have your examples on how to do this. Also, I did find this out by looking at all of Patrick's paperwork and how he was creating things on his own. And then I ran across a strange rule of law, is that all of us are supposed to create our own law because their laws are copyright laws. And even when he was doing the paperwork, because I was going to discuss this with him tonight, but I got on there a little bit late, I might mention it tomorrow. that we're supposed to create the paperwork. So that's why that's where he's getting all this from. He's creating it. But I ran across something else also. It says we're actually supposed to print it out with your own handwriting, because the system that they're using, those are dead instruments. In order for the living to prove what they are, they have to show that they're living and to write it out. I wanted to discuss that with him to see what he says about this, because I've been running across quite a few things. I mean, I haven't been in a group like I'm supposed to, because I've been doing research on other things.
What you're supposed to do in a situation that may help you understand, if you look at Michael Jackson's will, which is pretty easy to get off the internet.
I have. I looked at it.
It's mandated that every page has to be signed, wet signature signed, and it has to be dated. Every page has, that makes it living. It's not a dead instrument when you sign it like that.
Yeah, I saw that. Even the one they had written up on Jesus Christ, I also saw that one, and how they had certain things initialed and everything else, and using other examples. So I have been running around looking at it now. But
here's another statement in the Treasury duties. Monies payable into the county treasury as used in section blah, blah, blah includes money belonging to estates of deceased persons and required by law to be paid to the county treasury, taxes, inheritance, transfers, any money deposited by order of the court, and any other monies deposited with the county treasurer by virtue of any official authority whatever. Now, right there, the wire transfers coming in after via your birth certificate, CAFR accounts, and Social Security account are all being tapped into by the county and the state for their purposes, and therefore, by putting an order in, you are a depositor at the county level, and you're a depositor at the state level, depending on what it is they're using it for. Sometimes it is down from the state down to the county, but every one of these people are authorized. Every clerk's authorized. Every recorder's authorized as to be able to have access to these funds. And it's our job as to figure out how we can get these funds to not keep us in debt, but to pay and keep us a sponge and keep our record clear. We almost have to be a bookkeeper or an accountant to be able to do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I fully agree with that one, because we're also supposed to help set off the deficit, to balance that out also.
Well, that's actually what would happen.
That's our responsibility, because you're not supposed to keep anything. You're supposed to share. And
this country is supposed to be zero. The balance of this country's debt should be zero right now, and it's because the American people have not figured out how to be able to utilize this. And I'm telling you, when you look at the administrative executive of the county, they have their hands, just like the governor, they have their hands on every source of funds coming and going out of that county. And don't mistake that. They have every authority as to cash in a bill of exchange on your behalf if they choose to do so. And the only reasons why they would, if there is a certificate of indebtedness in the county that calls for a bill of exchange to occur, and therefore they'd go ahead and grant, like, say, for instance, your property tax. You want to stay in cahoots with the county. Okay, fine. Now give me the bill so I can endorse it, give it back to you. Now go ahead and settle and close out the matter immediately.
Exactly. I mean, I even called up the IRS and I told them some things. The next thing I know, they didn't get rude with me or anything else. Matter of fact, the guy wanted to help. I said, I'm here to assist. I'm not here to cause any problems. I just need some things taken care of. And the guy, he took care of some things that I had on my mind right away. I said, okay, thank you. And I got his code number. I told him if I need any assistance and anything else, I'd give you a call. So it was pretty good. I had to go up the hierarchy, like Patrick was saying. You have to go up the ladder, because a lot of things we say to people, they fully don't have no understanding of what we're saying. That's because they've been trained that way. So a lot of these people are not at fault. It's just that I don't know why they feel like they're little demigods. I don't even know if they're even trying to protect it, because how are you going to protect something and you don't even have clarity of what you're doing? It's just that you have a job with a title, and a lot of them don't even know what they're doing. So,
well, it was told to me a while back that OIDs in particular had to have either a bank and or a judge's medallion and signature on those instruments. And if you want to take an OID into a courtroom after getting your probate or getting your international will set up, yes, I can see you take it and have them actually be the authorized person as a sign-off on it. I don't see that there's a controversy with that. But I think that unless you're actually considered and acknowledged as an international private banker, I think that, well, at least for me, everybody else can do whatever they want. But I would say that I would abstain until actually I get acknowledged by the government that I am a private international banker and that I am authorized to go ahead and do these OIDs.
So you wouldn't appoint them trustees, would you?
Well, you could, but I mean, why do that? I mean, if you get all the stuff right to start with, why would you have to even do any secondary crap?
Okay, that sounds great. So that's what I'm looking for. Once you put your work out, share it, please.
Well, I am
utilize
sharing
it.
I'm sharing right now. I'm giving you guys.
Yes, I know. I'm getting there. I'm feeling it. So, man, I need to hear this recording again because this was good.
So just look around for. I didn't find anything with New York, so look around in the California code for.
Hold on, let me find it for you. New York. I can probably find it in 2 minutes.
I know you're good.
Yeah, always have been.
Yeah, I looked at Ohio probate code. I downloaded it, and I don't see much about international will except a reference to the convention.
And it's probate court?
Okay, Uniform International Wills Act. Here we go. Okay, Uniform Probate Code. Okay, I'm going to give you guys, and here's the one for California. I'm just going to give you every one of them. You guys can do. Here's your New York one right here.
Well, you're going to dump it into the call group?
Yeah.
Oh,
into
cool.
Is the recording still going?
Yeah.
Okay.
I got all four of them here. Yeah. Where are you guys here?
Ohio.
Okay, there you go. So you got the Uniform International Wills Act. You should really study that. That's right out of New York. There you go.
Okay.
It falls right under the probate code, and it will give you the certificate of will that will be suffice as accepted by the Secretary of State. Once you do that, you can start navigating.
Okay.
Right now, you don't have two rows to even navigate. The Uniform Probate Code is directly related right to the international wills. That means that when you file an international will, is that the only thing that is written in the probate code is it gives you the international will to exempt yourself from the probate. Therefore, it has to be special handled. That's the reasons why the Federal Court of Foreign Affairs can be established your international will status as the place to go to. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
if you get the horse before the cart and get all this stuff done, there's no reason why they cannot acknowledge you anytime you put a will of intent or orders into the county or the state as to a bill of exchange and or to settle and close out all existing accounts that are related to the Social Security and the birth certificate. Right now, we're just a ward of the state. We are just common stock. We don't have no voting right.
Mm-hmm.
Zero. And until you actually change the status, you're going to be running in circles for years after years until you get it right.
Okay.
Very interesting
Ohio.
you bring all this up because when you receive the your CP 575 document, confirmation document for the SS4, after you've applied for your federal grant or trust or a state EIN, it says at the bottom that we assigned you a tax classification based on information obtained from you or your representative. It is not a legal determination of your tax classification and is not binding on the IRS. If you want a legal determination of your tax classification, you may request a private letter ruling from the IRS under Guidelines and Revenue Procedures 2004-1, et cetera.
Well, that's fine and dandy. So what they're saying is you're the captain of the ship, so are you going to be tax exempt or are you going to be subject to their laws? That's what they're asking you to do, is you need to be the one that's clarifying it. You're the one that is the captain of the ship. If you go to that,
and it says, note, certain tax classification elections can be requested by filing Form 8832, which is Entity Classification Election.
well, an 8832 is the way we used it a couple years ago was to dump all of the foundations and the estates into the foreign trust, of which we got confirmation after filing. I think it was an election to election of status or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but the 8832 was the transmitting utility as to put the estates into the foreign trust. If I'm not mistaken. Pretty sure of that.
Okay. What's the international will information for Ohio?
What I would put in there is Ohio Probate Code International Will. That's all you have to put in there. You should be able to.
All I did was find a document about the probate codes, and the only reference to the international will was the reference to the document of the convention about international will. Nothing in there about them.
Well, then what I would use, I would go ahead and go to the California codes, because it is a sister state, and because it's acceptable to the Secretary of State, that all Secretary of States are equal to each other as an international sovereign from any government.
Okay.
So what's acceptable in one state should be acceptable in another.
Yes, and since it's the universal law on international wills, that it should be same thing from state to state.
In fact, I can here. Let me just see if I can get. Here it is. Oh, come on, open up Sesame.
So I just found one in Illinois.
Okay, here comes the certificate. This is the one I use as a template. And that's the way it comes through, so don't even ask me to try to correct that for you. That's just the way it's posted inside the code. But you can put that on a page, and you can organize it. Reformat it. Yep. So that would be the beginning, and if you've got any unique identifiers to your private will, you should always name that in your certificate of title, and you should add in the Convention of October 26, 1973, as the Hague Convention that the state actually signed off that they're subject to international law of how they interface with foreign entities. So I would...
The document I downloaded said it was the convention was in Canada.
No, the Hague was in.
Okay.
What was it? Denmark or
little
Switzerland? Switzerland. It could have been Switzerland.
No, the Hague is in, I think, Netherlands.
That's it. Yep, the Netherlands, because that's where I put all my birth certificates. I had all my birth certificates apostilled to the Netherlands. And so I have to start doing some fancy work with tying that together with my English or my England foreign trust.
Okay. Why'd you choose England?
Because of my royal heritage, and my will actually says that I am the furthering of the clan, and that I will go back and collect up all the... you guys might want a heads up on this, too. If you don't put in your will that you consider all your clans that you're part of as to you being the executor and or trustee to those inheritances, is what will happen if you don't put a claim in. The Bar Association, when they file their papers with the International United Nations, to become an international bar association. One of their mission statement was they're going to run around the world and collect up all the abandoned inheritances that are sitting there waiting for them to grab. So you may want to go ahead and keep that in mind when you put your will together.
Okay.
So if you've got family in England, then you should put it down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
For my clansmen were German to England, Ireland.
Okay. Yeah, I've got a lot there. Well, we have our work cut out for us.
Yep.
There you go.
Now, when you do the will involving the ancestry, you could leave that open-ended just to lead to or provide some type of wording stating that for any that may come about to your knowledge, because like for me, kind of difficult to connect to those ancestry clans just because of the whole situation with the slave trade and slavery and everything. A lot of my connections have been, how do you say,
severed.
Severed. But in light of technology today involving genetics, it is starting to slowly build a bridge.
Yeah, the genealogy website is quite accurate with that stuff. I actually was quite amazed that the Mayflower had one of my relatives on there. I didn't even know that until just last week. But when I put my certificate, of international will together, I had made a statement that predicated on the fact that my forefathers prior to the Constitution or the colonies becoming the United States of America had already made a claim in on this, this country's interest, and that he was one of the key people that was part of the clans, the Summers, and that he had brought. So what I did in the language, I made it sure that in 1657 was his first foot on this soil, and that it brought back the fact that he left the clans of Summers from England, of where it ties together perfectly with my international will as being established in England rather than being established in the United States, because there is no United States as far as I'm concerned when it comes to my international will. I don't recognize borders like that. I do recognize clansmanship.
And so if you don't necessarily have the ties now, you can still put wording in there that if you do have them, these connect to the will as well.
Yes.
Or when you do acquire the connection.
When I did a land patent on the land, because I'm Cherokee blood, I've got Cherokee blood too. My grandmother was full Cherokee, and I claimed everything for 10,000 years back. And I think it would, examine exactly how you want to word your stuff, but make sure that you cover a lot of territory and a lot of time. Because when you're claiming ancestry going back that far, 10,000 years, you're talking about the people that went across Alaska to get down here on the United States 10,000 years ago. So you're claiming the original essence of the migration of Chinese people that actually came down through Alaska and came into the United States and down into Southern America. And it took them 10,000 years to do that. And it wouldn't be a bad thing for you guys to go back and see what your royal shield. If you don't have a royal shield, you can go to privis.com, I think is what it is. They will actually create a royal shield for your family, and you can actually design it the way you want. I would recommend, if you're going to start doing these type of documents, is to have a royal shield that you accept as your shield for your clansmanship, and have that in every one of your documents that you put together.
My son, his in-laws, his mother-in-law was big into genealogy, and she did all that, and she found the coat of arms and all that kind of stuff. So I'm just going to make a phone call and rob it.
Yeah. No, I every document that I put together has my royal shield at the top of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's something to be proud of. This is your inheritance. You've got a family plan. Claim it, because you'll be surprised. Somewhere down the road, you just might be surprised that there's funds that need to be escheated, and you're putting a claim in on the escheatment in another country could actually become yours.
Mm.
So when you put a claim in for your clansmanship, is that you're doing the fiduciary financial trustee for the whole clan, not just for you. You're doing it for your whole.
There, Chris.
So this could be as long as you want or as short as you want. You could amend it too, can't you?
Well, a certificate of international will is just that. It's just an announcement and seeking acknowledgement for status and classification change. You're not looking to do the will and put it in front of their face.
Uh-huh.
The only way that you could do that is tell them that you're welcome to do that in camera, in a courtroom, in chambers. And that's the only way that you'll, because you don't need to share the will. It's just a certificate of international will that you're looking to file.
Okay. So it really shouldn't take a whole lot of time. I mean, once you get it formulated, then to get it apostilled and
well, in your particular case, you need to go across the border and have I would say since you're up in Canada or close to Canada, I would take it down to the recorder's office and have it recorded somewhere up there, and then that means that you've got a real authenticated document that once you bring it back into the county or the state that you're at, is there would be no dispute that there was an authorized, like the Secretary of State up there. If you feed it on over there and get a Secretary of State as to maybe apostille it, record it, not steal it, and then bring it back into the United States, and because that would be perfect. My situation is I can't get to England right now to do this over there in England. I wish I knew somebody over there in England, but everybody is
someone else could do it for you.
Well, I've checked around, and it's like
I have a friend that goes to England quite a bit.
Oh, is that right?
He does. He has business over there. He has government business. My husband just talked to him tonight. I can find out when he's going back again.
Well, that would actually be kind of nice, because I would rather do it right, because it always is the same thing. When you know you got to do it a certain way and you do it another way, it never works out.
Right.
So if I can get it notarized, a witness, you should really have 3 witnesses on there, one that attests that you are the will the person that created the will. The attestment is that person knew you personally, and then 2 witnesses. Now, all I need is somebody to do a witness and have it notarized in England, and that's all that I need done. Have it brought back here, take it down to the embassy, have them notarize it in the state of California, take it to the Secretary of State, have it apostilled back to England, and then go ahead and file the international will, and that part is done.
Mm-hmm.
But don't you have to go to England to sign it there to get it witnessed, or can someone else get that done for you?
Nope. One of the requirements, if you read out the probate that I just passed you guys, it will say that it has to originate in the country that the will was created. So if you do it in the United States, you just failed.
Right.
So if you go to the embassy in San Francisco, it's still kind of questionable. But if you actually have a notary or somebody back in, they sign the document as a witness, that is being notarized. Bingo, you're done.
Yeah, but you're saying you need to get it notarized in England by a notary, but you say you can't go there.
Yeah, what part of that you're not understanding? A witness can have their signature notarized.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because you're getting it notarized where you are, and then you just have it delivered over there and notarized.
You get it notarized after the instrument comes back, and then you take it down to the embassy and have them notarize it. Now you've got 2 English notaries. There's no dispute. There cannot be a question when you've got 2 of them, and then you can have 2 other parties attest to it after that. And then once you do an apostille, it's done.
Okay.
You know.
Now I get it. Duh.
I kind of figured you probably had that, Tom.
It's getting late.
That's true.
But, okay, so there's a couple other documents I wanted to mention to you guys that will back this. There's one of them that's missing right now, but there is a status and classification change after all this is done, and I will make sure you guys get those certificates of identification, because you're going to go up to the Bureau of Public Debt, and you're going to change your status, but you need all these documents in place first.
Okay.
You need the recording number of the international will. You need that number that the Secretary of State, so you can put on these other applications, because you can't do it ass backwards.
Okay.
And then the other one is the DOJ. Once you get those people acknowledged, there is nothing between you and the state and the county that can stand between you taking care of your private banking. I'll be right back, guys.
Okay.
Okay, a question while he's gone. The estate EIN number, should begin with a 46?
No, it just doesn't begin with a 98. It's different for every state.
Oh gosh.
And it's different if you call it in or
right.
Or do it on the computer.
The number after the dash needs to be a 6 or 7.
Okay, so whenever I call it in or get on the computer, whatever number it gives me, that's it.
Right. There's a file on Patrick's site that says what EIN numbers are handled by each state, but it really isn't that important. For the estate, take whatever they give you.
Okay.
It's the foreign grantor trust that's important for the 98.
Okay, so I have to get the estate first. Okay then.
No, we're looking at the other way around.
Do the 98 first.
Okay, the foreign grantor trust.
Because when you do the foreign grantor trust, they look it up and they see an estate at the same address, they'll give you a hard time. If there's no estate at the same address, they don't give you a hard time. So do the estate second.
Okay.
And there should be a template out there for the foreign grantor, and what address you put in what box and where you put foreign grantor. And
okay, now that's what I couldn't find. I did find the.
Well, that's one we circulated among ourselves.
Oh, do you have an email address?
Who?
You, Nancy.
Yes.
What's your email?
Okay. Oh, this thing is recording. I'm kind of scared to do that.
Oh. Mine is P Dowling, DOWLING, @roadrunner.com.
Thanks for posting that, Tom.
Okay, no problem.
.com. Okay, now what was the first one?
P.
Okay. All right,
Pat.
then. And I'll send you an email requesting that. I'm Nancy from Ohio.
Okay, and I'll send you my template.
Okay, I would appreciate it. Thank
and
you
then
so much.
you can just it's fillable, so you can just fill it out.
Okay, so you can manipulate it.
Yeah.
Okay then.
You need Acrobat to do it. Do you have Adobe Acrobat?
Yes, I have that.
Okay.
I mean, my biggest thing was trying to get the EIN numbers. Now, after listening to the information about the international wheel, that puts a whole different slant on things.
Yeah.
Oh, gosh.
I like it.
Sounds good.
Well, it settles all the accounts. I mean, there's no dispute that you are the foreign trustee at that point, or the executor. There's just no way they can get over that.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds really good.
Okay.
Yeah. And then once we get that done, then we'll do the last step.
No. Well, we have a call tomorrow, so we can take up some of this if there are any more questions tomorrow, unless you have some burning questions right now.
No, I'm
no.
just, my brain's
Thanks
full.
everybody for your assistance and helping me. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you,
Okay.
Chris.
Yeah, you're welcome. Mm-hmm.
Well, I think I'll get the banksters put in place.
Okay, I think I'm going to get ready to send an email. Thank you too, Chris. You, Tom. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
Bye-bye.
then. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Recording.